Good morning, good morning, good morning. No sizing today. No, it'll be on the weekend sometime. Tomorrow or Sunday, not sure. Paper is out of the freezer. There's 3 bags out, and in fact, I got to go back upstairs. I'll do it after the stream. Sugu-san had put her dot on the fridge asking for the paper to come out, but I see an email from her now, just a couple of minutes ago, saying, "Put it back in, please. I won't be there today." So I don't know if she isn't feeling well or what's the reason, but she's not going to show up, so she wants me to put the paper back in. So. I'm looking forward to another quiet day in the shop. The last few days have been absolute death valley here. I know this is not a complaint, just an observation. There's got to be a quiet time of year. It's part of Japanese tourist culture. Obviously, February is not so big for us here. Up in the ski resorts, Niseko and Aqaba and stuff, they're going nuts, of course. But down here, but that's not a complaint. We need time to regroup. The kids spent the afternoon yesterday. I was out at the tax accountant for most of the day yesterday. But the kids spent the afternoon here packing flea market prints and stuff like that. Tax accountants, yeah, good fun. Good mic. Soka. Let's try the other mic. Soka. I restarted the computer, so let's try that. Let's put the good mic back on. Sorry about that. I should have tried this. Okay, the MacBook audio is off now, and the normal lapel mic is back on. Testing, 1, 2, 3. How are we with the other microphone? Did a restart fix everything? Good, it's better. Yeah, it must have just been a computer. It had been months, literally months, since I restarted the machine, so. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. And these machines are very good and very stable, but three months or so without a restart is impossible, of course. Got some carving time after yesterday's stream. Yes, absolutely. I've been carving in the evenings here. And today, the shop, if it's as quiet as it was yesterday, I will be at the bed chair carving. The staff can handle the shop. And of course, I'll be getting up and talking to people, but I may not be up, at least getting work done. I think there's one party scheduled. The kids will do it. Alright, let me finish this one and I'll show you the blocks where we're at, because there's 8 faces altogether on this. No, 7 faces on this print, and we're getting there. We're gonna be done soon. So, okay, what's left is the outside ring. Yeah, test printing, are we going to do that before I leave or not? I'm not sure. It's all going to depend on the printer's schedules. I'll be finished these blocks now. What's today? Today's Friday. I won't be finished tonight, I think, but it should be certainly finished tomorrow, Saturday. But the problem is test printing time. I know there'll be none of the printers here over the weekend. I leave Tuesday night. So there's a couple of ways to do it. Monday, I might grab one of them, Suga-san or Ishikawa-san, and do a quick test print just to make sure the blocks are okay, even though we haven't maybe figured out what all the final color balances are or something. And then they can start to run while I'm away. Another plan is not even to worry about that, just leave it, I'll just take off. They can do a test run while I'm in Vancouver. And Chon-san is here, you know, the other carver who's working for us. He's the one who's carving he's just finished carving number 3, he's carving number 5 now. He can do adjustments on this if there's some adjustments that are necessary. So. The list of jobs for me that's stacking up that has to be done before I leave, the list is just growing like crazy. It's supposed to be shrinking, but it's actually growing still. So. Well, calendaring paper. Do I calendar paper when it's damp or when it's dry? Both. I know the recent calendaring you've seen me do is all happening when the paper's dry. That's working with quite a thick paper. And what we're trying to do is we're really just trying to get the surface smooth. So before we moisten it, it goes under the press with a, what can I say, a moderate pressure to try and make the surface smooth. But for some prints, we do that, and then also after the moistening is done, I run it through again. You have to be really careful of that, because once it's moistened, it's really soft, and you can crush the life out of it. But sometimes I run it through again with a light touch. And it really, really gives you a beautiful, beautiful, thin, soft, smooth paper. I did that when I made the print, The Scent of Chrysanthemums, that Couchier copy. I wanted an absolutely, totally flat surface on a thin sheet that you could just kiss with the barrel to make the impression. But you have to be really careful. If you press moistened paper the wrong way around, if you do it horizontally instead if you do it horizontally, the paper will stretch and then shrink back after you're printing, so be careful. That party was for April Fool's Day. Reservations for April and May are pouring in now. We're already sold out for some days in April now. Anybody who's thinking of being here in cherry blossom season, if you want to do a print party, put your name down. God, it's gonna be crazy. What are we gonna do? Let's get this corner. last one's done. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a recap of what we've got here. We have so far, I think, 4 blocks now done. Let's find the original here. Oh, questions. Okay, here we go. There's the original. It's Jed's Photoshop mockup. I see Jed's in here. Good morning, Jed's. Here's Jed's Photoshop mockup. We've got the key block, of course. That was done first. For this print, doing the color transfers, some of the information is taken from the key block and some of the information is taken from Photoshop printouts from Jed's Photoshop Master. For example, you can see some of this. Now, there's the key block. And there are lines, for example, just the shrine gate and the fence. And when we carve this color block, these lines for the fence are taken by transferring from the key block. But when we carve these cherry blossom shapes, those lines are not on the key block, so I need a combination of transfer from the key block and printouts from Jed's Photoshop file. Anyway, what have we got so far? We've got the key block, and then I believe I've got the 3 main cherry blossom blocks here. They show on Jed's Master. If you look at the area where the light is, and right under the light, there is a background tone. I haven't carved that one yet. Then just underneath the light, there's a light purple and a medium purple and a deeper purple. And that's what these 3 blocks are here. No, they're not. That's the light purple, and here's the light purple and the medium purple. This block at the bottom is the one with all the red, what you see as red cherry blossom lines carved. That's 4 done out of 7. So let's get these out of the way and paste another one down and get started. What have I got? I'll need one of these to carve on the back side. Let's do this one. No, let's save that one for the end. Here, let's do this one. Yeah, don't worry about the colors you see. And if you think it's too pink or too purple or too green or whatever, doesn't matter. It's what you're seeing is a mock-up. Jed has simply clicked in Photoshop to put colors. We were talking about this yesterday. The way Jed has created it right now, he spent his time working out the overlays on stuff. But the way we print it may be quite different on this one. If you look back to Toshi Yoshida prints of this type in the Yoshida environment were not printed with smooth, delicate color. They were printed sometimes with a quite mottled goma color. And we're going to try some printings on this one by putting some texture into those cherry blossoms. So what you're seeing here is a first stab, is a rough concept. And we'll go with it. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. This one is going to be 2 colors on 1 block. I don't know if you can see it. The red of the gate, of course, this will be the spot color. It's the red of the gate, and over on the fence, for me, it's on the right-hand side. Oh, for you, where am I? It's on the right-hand side here, under the light pole. And then over the left, there's 2 figures. And they are going to actually get another color. They won't be the same red spot color as the gate. They're going to be a deeper tone. But there's enough distance between these 2 areas that when the printers come along, they'll use one brush to rub red over here and another small brush to rub on the 2 figures. Someone's asking about GSM's paperweight. I don't have any idea, but we use different kinds of paper anyway, all over the time. The transfer paper for this is very light. The paper we use for making our prints is much heavier, but we have different grades, different thicknesses. There's no single type of paper or single weight of paper that matches all of our printmaking. The paper we use for something like our great wave print, a standard ukiyo-e type print, which doesn't have many color overlays, is quite thin and crispy. The paper we'll use for this print, once it gets into production, which has many, many color overlays, is a much deeper, softer paper. So I don't have a single answer to all this. And anyway, I don't know the numbers in Western measuring sense. I'm sorry, I don't know. When I did this yesterday, I think I got bubbles. I didn't quite rub it down carefully enough. You guys notice there's people on there, what's this? Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. I should have a baron at this desk for doing this job, instead of just using my fingers. Doesn't matter, it's down there, it's okay. Look at this. Off the edge, look at this. We'll never get a peel if it hangs off the edge. Is that another boring 10 out of 10? you just watch, so you wait for you to screw up. I think that's the one. The ones where I screw up are more interesting than when it comes out straight. Questions, questions, questions. I see my name in dark here. Am I wetting the block with water first? Yes, you saw me a moment ago. What I just did is I sprayed a bit of water on. This was just water. I just moistened the surface of the wood just for a few seconds. And then I put the glue on. And now if we put the glue on straight without moistening wood, it's not just this, it's when you're making furniture stuff, anything. If you just put wood onto glue, it sinks in the places where you dab the wood. And when you try and spread it out, you've got different absorption in those different places. But if you lightly moisten it first and put your glue on and then spread it around, it's absorbing into the wood slowly, all at different levels. Remember too, what we need here, we don't need super high adhesion. So this glue has been a little bit diluted by that water. We're not looking for power here. We're looking for smooth adhesion. This block, the color, what color will this block be? I mentioned a moment ago, this block is going to be the red of the torii gate. It's going to be a darker tone on the two people walking. It'll be maybe red, purple, something, I don't even know. Printers will work it out. And then there's a little lantern, a stone lantern, and part of the stone fence. This will be a small, easy block. And yeah, let's find our focus point so you can see what's going on and watch. I'm gonna start with the people. Zoom in. Must be almost time for Cameron's out of the shop, I guess, right? So. There's a garbage pickup. I remember to get it out today. Okay, I've almost got the outlines of this cut. Once I'm done, it's going to get a little bit noisy here, probably about the same time Cameron shows up. I guess I'm going to grab the persuader, do some noisy work for a few minutes. Questions. What have I missed? Look at this, we're chatting today. Look at this. Yesterday was totally quiet. Look at this. Yeah, don't get confused. The people are on the red block, but it doesn't mean they're going to be printed with red. What we're doing is Jed is trying to, we are trying to figure out how to get as much information on as few words as possible. So sometimes if there's space available, and there's room for 2 fingers here, so the printers, when they're coming to do this, they can use one brush like this for the red areas here, and they'll use another smaller brush for the 2 people on the side, and then print them together. So these won't all be red. Don't get confused about that. Okay, cover your ears. We're going to make a bit of noise for a few minutes. The compressor should be okay on this. Let's see how it goes. Dave, do I hand plane the blocks? I don't do that myself. We have a guy, Miyagawa-san, who works over in Shinkiba, the lumber making district. We found this guy. He has got a slicer. It's a table with a knife blade that sticks up, and the blocks are passed over that table, giving them the nice smooth finish at the end. But yes, hand planing is better than hand sanding. Planing is better than sanding. For us, anyway. How to make the lines between the boards on the fence? I'm not sure what you're asking me here. How to make the lines between the boards on the fence? The lines are on the key block. This was the key block. It was finished a few days ago. This has all the black outlines that you see in the print, and some of them actually may have to be refined after we do test printing. What Jed did was, you can see some of these lines are close by. They go into the distance a bit, so he's made them a bit smaller, but these are fatter. I think we're going to have to dress some of these down a little bit thinner. I think they're probably a bit too fat. We'll see. Once we do test printing, we'll see. Okay, there's some noise. Excuse me a minute. Cameron has train problems this morning, I guess, does he? Who knows? We're still here, real noisy. Now, bigger chisel, and we clear away out to about 2 or sometimes 3 fingers away. At least 2 fingers, sometimes 3, away from the printing area. And I got to be careful not to cut off the registration marks. It has been done. Okay, the final bit of noise here takes 1 or 2 minutes more here, and then we'll get to the soft work. So this is going to be quite noisy now, the bigger chisel. Here he is. There he is. Train trouble this morning, or
Wake up.
wake up trouble? Can't blame corporate Japan for it. Then.
Nice.
It's funny. I was thinking about that. No point talking with the hammer. I just meant to finish this now. Noisiest part here. Just be another minute or so.
No problem.
They're talking about kanji on a lantern. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Lantern above me?
I have no idea. Ah, that one. Soka.
Rokuhankan.
Ryokan. Why is the red lantern written Ryokan? It's not written Ryokan. What? They can see part of it. Let's just move the camera up a little bit. There you go. That'll be better. I'll keep going. If you want to take a chance with the computer, turn around. What do you want to do? See that? Huh?
See how it goes.
Do I need to do anything?
I don't know. It'll break down anyway, so
I'll just get one.
take this slowly.
Up frames 0.
We survived! Da, 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 da.
I think there's new faces here too, so you have to introduce yourself again.
Again, hi. Can't remember.
I'll be noisy for 1 minute. Just But it waits me to smash this thing.
We have our great wave across the desk.
Exactly, the great wave. Okay, that's enough noise for now, I think. Just and we brought this block from start. I pasted it down, and now we're almost finished. So we've seen one block start to finish because there's not so much, not so much stuff on it. Okay, uncover yours. We're okay.
Is that the limiter, the compressor, whatever it is working
Seems
great?
okay. Yeah, I think so. So whatever, it's part of the job anyway. Can't.
Somebody give that compressor a raise. Cameron is my favorite of David Bull's sons.
What? You mean with Cameron and Jed and all the others?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Someone asked, have you ever carved with a left-handed blade or too accustomed to the inside grip?
No, I'm not going to change now.
No.
I know. If I were starting all over again, this is a right-handed blade for a right-handed person. If I were starting all over again, I would use a left-handed blade, carve outside. But I'm 67. I'm not going to start all over again. I'm happy with what I'm doing. It's okay. So somebody who's starting, it's an interesting question. Somebody who is starting now, whether they're left-handed or right-handed, should they start out and carve in the traditional way over the back of their hand, which is really, really difficult at first, but gives great results 3, 4, 5 years down the road? Or should they start with the under-the-nose system, which means it works right away, but you're limited in how far you can grow with it? And I can't answer the question for you. How old are you? What's your goal with this? Where do you want to go? Do you want to be the best master carver on the planet? You know, they're all going to have an influence on your decision. Asuka Sensei here, he's got people coming into Takumi. And there are people come in, just want to do a hobby, fool around on Sundays and stuff. Or there are people who say, I want to do it like it was done And based on their desires and motivations and needs, he trains them in different ways. But at 67 years old, I think realistically,
not worth restarting.
how much time do I have left? You know, if I restart from zero again, and also can you after all the years of muscle training and everything else?
Yeah.
There's no point in it. It's okay, you know. And anyway, we've got Johnson here. He's carving, as we saw, the sushi cats. He's doing a better job than I'm doing, so he's there to take over that part of the job. My God, those blocks! That block set is beautiful. We've got to get some nice video of that. You know?
Yeah. Gorgeous.
And maybe even too, before it gets covered with ink, you should maybe just get them in a room there, get them in a party room with some nice light on them.
Yeah.
And just do some Ken Burns or pan over them or something, just to get some shots of those blocks before they go into production.
Okay.
Like
He's got pigment on the key blocks, but nothing else yet. Is that right?
I don't really know whether I've finished things. But he's done a magnificent job with it.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about it to the extent we're legally allowed to talk about it. Yeah.
What advantage does the traditional grip give you after years of practice?
You can see where you're going. You can see all the line all the way up where it's going. And where with me, when I do this, my fingers holding the support, I can't see the line coming up. So number one, that's basically it. You can see where you're going. You can control it. Second is the flexibility. You have much more flexibility over here. The amount of, if you look at a 360-degree circle, you can go from that corner all the way up over the top, all the way around here and down. You can do pretty much half the circle. With this one, all you can do is about 12% of the circle, from there to there. So you see me moving the block, going around, moving the block. Today?
Tonight, tomorrow.
Okay. Going around and around. So it minimizes the amount of turning you have to do with a block. It allows you to see what's coming up. And what else do you need? I mean, that's enough in itself, you know. So. And the fewer number of strokes you make for any given curve means that the curve is going to have a natural flow. You know, if you're careless, you go good, rotate, good, rotate, good, rotate, good. You don't get a circle. You get If you've done it in one piece, one smooth curve, you get a smooth curve. You know, well, it's night and day difference. If it's ukiyo-e type work you're trying to do, if you're going to end up making prints like the Yoshida family makes, where you can't even see the carved lines anyway because it's all color blocks blurred on top, then go for it. That's why they did it their way.
Yeah.
That's why Toshi Yoshida's book says carve like this with the bevel on the line. You know, it's just totally, absolutely wrong. Yeah. But for him, it didn't matter. The problem is people are reading Toshi's book and taking it as gospel about traditional Japanese carving, and it's no such thing. It's just one modern guy's take on how to do it. You know?
Do the outside carvers you use carve inside or outside?
To the outside carvers I use carve inside. So Kawasaki-san, our carver in Kobe, is traditional, and Asuka Sensei, of course, he's a totally traditional carver. Yep. John-san is working totally traditional. The only carver in our outfit who is goofing off is me. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Anybody we're using in our workshop, of course, is doing things in the traditional way. The printers and carvers. We are a really old-fashioned traditional workshop. The only exception, again, without being sarcastic about it, the only exception to traditional methods here are when Dave starts doing things, you know, because he didn't know.
Zoom, maybe, saying that right? So, has Chon-san's hand gotten better?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him for a couple of days. I don't know. I'm not hearing any panic about it, so I think he's, hanging in there. And there was still...
So I finished the block set for number 3, right?
Yeah, their test printing is done.
Yeah.
Test printing is done.
Yeah, so...
I saw the test proofs yesterday.
Just just well enough to finish that set, I guess. That's all I
But when he went home the other day, was it 2 nights ago? He went home, he kept his hand in his pocket. I'm saying, Charles, how are you doing? Show me. He kept his hand in his pocket. He didn't want to bring it out. Show me. So, have you been to a doctor yet? Silence. Have you been to a doctor yet? Silence. Are you going to a doctor?
What, can you rotate the gouge you were using for the camera? It looks interesting. They were wondering, what was that tool you were just using?
It's not a gouge, it's a chisel. The one you hear, this one? It's not a gouge, it's a flat chisel. You know, it's a.
Okay.
This is not actually in the traditional carve versus set. This is interesting. I use it, and it's funny because Johnson saw it and said, because it really is, it really performs. It really performs. The traditional carver set, you saw it. I did step 1, cut the lines. We saw this. Step 2, use shallow chisels. These are rounded gouges, and the big ones to clear away the waste wood. Step 2. Then step 3, which I'm about to do right now, is use the flat, what we call bullnose chisels, aiski in Japanese. Use the flat chisels to clear away the waste. And I've got one that's in between. In between the round gouge stage and this stage, I like to use this because I'm a fanatic about having the bottom of my blocks as smooth as possible. Traditional carvers usually do try and get it, but I'm a fanatic about it. And this one, instead of using the little narrow ones, 3 millimeters, and scraping all day all over the place.
Yeah.
In some places we were able to get it with this smooth, but all the in-between places don't. And for me, this is the perfect tool for doing that, smoothing off.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite tools, and it doesn't have much life left in it. And it was given to me by an old, not a carver, a blacksmith who made tools. He's long gone. This was from his own printmaking set. He was a printmaker as a hobbyist, and it had his name on usui, which I have worn off with my fingers. But so this is a hand-me-down from an old blacksmith.
Is it a radiused bullnose? Someone asks.
This surface, I'm not sure what you mean. This is flat. So the back is flat, and the top surface of the chisel is also flat, but the what can I say? Radiused in this sense, yes. Can we see it?
Yeah.
It's radiused in that sense. It's actually a circle, but it's not. How does it compare with the other chisel? It's a bullnose chisel, I guess. Whatever. It's a bullnose chisel. Just it's simply a
wider one.
A wider one, yeah, than we normally use here. So.
Cool.
But it's not a gouge. Gouges are gouges. I think, as far as I understand the term, gouges have to have a U or a V shape. You know, they're U's. We don't have any V's here in our workshop, but we use 1 or 2 U gouges. But I don't think this is not a gouge. This would, to me, fall in the category that we would call chisels. And it is a beautiful. What it allows, we're using it actually as a plane. All of these bullnose chisels, actually, it's funny. We're using them as planes. You think about the way a plane works. It's a blade held in a frame which you pull across. So the blade is slicing across the surface of the wood. Right. Chisels usually are thought about as being, tapped in and gouged in and then cutting.
Yeah.
And I'm using this as a plane because whenever we use this, I don't know if you know, on top of my finger, always, I am pushing down with this thing. So my hands here are acting as that wooden box that pulls that plane blade across the surface. And this is, it's acting as a plane. This is what gives me that smoothing function.
Yeah.
And you've got to be pushing down. If you don't push down with it, what happens is the thing starts to tip and it drives down into the wood with the grain. And let's try and find a place where there's wood grain backwards and forwards. Which way is the wood grain? That's against the grain. The grain really would want to go this way here. But if I push down, I can scrape with the grain like this, and I can also scrape against the grain because I'm pushing down on the top of this thing, stopping it from deep digging down into the actual surface of the wood. So I don't know of any equivalent in a Western sense. I don't know of chisels that are used like this, hands-on. To me, Western chisels are usually, there's your line, you tap it on, you've got a mallet, you tap it down, or you're paring, a paring chisel, where they're cutting out a tenon or something, and you're paring the edge of the corner.
Yeah.
I don't know of any Western woodwork that uses a chisel in the sense that we're using it here. But that's just my ignorance, so I don't know. Okay, anyway, for that stuff, I'm going to, instead of moving on, let me zoom in again just so I can get the camera stable in one place. So.
the woodworm says I'll have to see if I can mod a chisel. I really like that curve. You don't get the bites from the edges that I get with my flat chisel.
Ah, you're talking about the radius end around the corners. So
Yeah.
the corners are slightly rounded. Absolutely, we do that on all of our art. Am I on camera? I don't know.
Yep.
And that's interesting because me and Asuka Sensei's bullnose chisels, Aisuke, are sharper corner. And this is an interesting point. Let me actually wait a minute. Ask me that again when I get this part of the because there's an interesting point about that. How sharp to make the corners and how round to make the corners. In fact, let's try it right now. If I've got this, if I've
Should I
got
zoom
this,
in a bit for this? Or
okay, let's. Where am I?
around the two people? Here,
No,
I can.
you
You're going to work under the gate.
I'm going to work right where my fingers are. If you find that spot. So we've got a line that's cut here. Just reinforce it. Right. And now we've got this wood to be taken away. And this is the job of the Aisuke chisels, the bullnose chisels. And the question about how round to make this corner. And at some point, when I'm a lefty, at some point, because I carve like this, usually on the right-hand side of the lines here, I want this corner to be not perfectly 90 degrees, but I want it to be sharp. If this was too round, then I don't know where to go under here to cut away all that wood. Now, if it's perfectly sharp, it's really dangerous of cutting into
The part you want to keep.
into the part I want to keep, yes. So for us, or for me anyway, the way I've developed what I'm learning here, if this was a flat, straight, sharp 90-degree corner, I would be chipping this all day long. But giving it a little bit of relief, putting that arc on the front, means I can come up here safely. This side of the chisel, for me, the line of here is now lining up with the line that I'm about to cut. So I know that the chisel is going to be in the waist area, and that little curve on that corner gives me a safety so it doesn't dig into the line to be retained. I guess isn't that what bullnose chisels mean? That means they're not 90 degrees flat at the top. Bullnose means they're slightly curved this way around.
Yeah.
I don't know what the term actually means. But I need that little bit of radius on the corner. But not so much radius. If it was too round, then look at this. When we get to this corner here, let me clear some of this first. If this is too round, then I can't get into this corner. I want to be able to get in there and pull out everything that's there. But if this was a rounded shape, then I can't get in the corner. As a beginner years and years ago, this was the stage where I made so many screw-ups. After doing this, this would be chipped and popped and chipped and popped. Because this is the easiest place to screw up when you're clearing out these lines. Part of it is if you're not guiding this chisel well. Part of it is if that line is not cut deeply enough. And if I cut here deeper than what I cut with the line, out it comes. Let's go. And you see me do that sometimes. And when I get to a place like this, I'm thinking, it looks like it might want to move here. Have I cut deeply enough? And I'll take a pause, and I'll come back here and put this knife in again and think, I think I might put that blade just a little bit deeper. This is insurance, just to make sure that's not going to pop off. And you've seen me do that all the time, all the time. You get some feeling that, I think I'm going a little bit too far there. This is getting a bit too dangerous. It might pop off.
Yeah.
Back off a bit and make that cut again.
How do you maintain the rounded edge when sharpening those tools?
By eye, I mean just by just by moving, just by feel, feel. I have no guides, no. The stone is a flat stone. We should do that one day. People keep asking about that. I've got a bit of a special stone for some of the gouges. These are a rounded sharpening stone, but these Aisuke tools go on the flat stone.
Some sort of figure 8 pattern. Do you use that?
I don't know. I know nothing special official. You have to keep moving around on the stone so that you don't wear the stone away in one place. I think I've read that somewhere too. People go a figure eight or something. For me, no, it's just for me back and forth and back and forth and back and forth like this. Or curve this way on the stone with some movement this way. I don't have any official guidance on that, just simply doing it by eye. The thing about these knives is they are so small. As soon as you put them on a stone, metal starts to disappear right away.
Yeah.
And so it's plus and minus. You really got to be careful, because if you screw up, you're going to put a wrong edge on the stone in seconds. And yet the benefit is that once you've got the feeling, once you've got it, it's done in a couple of seconds. Well, I see in the hardware catalogs these guides for chisels to hold the chisel in place when you're sharpening them on the stone and stuff like that. A little thing with a wheel that you roll back and forth to keep it bevel. And for larger chisels, I think that's probably quite important. But for these little ones, it's just all over in seconds.
The question you've had before, but how often do you sharpen the tools? When they need it is basically the answer.
So. And well, sharpening is not a single thing. You've seen me when I'm working with the knife, when it pops, when I break it off. So sharpening then goes right back to the earliest stages of the stone, right to the shaping stone. Yeah. But normal sharpening doesn't do that. Normal sharpening is it feels it's not quite sharp. I don't go back to the strongest stone to shape it. I just go back to the medium stone to just put an edge on it. So how often do you sharpen? Touch up sharpen much more often than I go right back to the beginning. Although here on this stream, all people have ever seen is the broken stone, the broken blade sharpening, because I do the other sharpening before the stream starts or other times. But when the blade breaks, I have no choice. I have to pull out the stone. So recently, that's all the people on the stream ever see. They see me just sharpening whenever I break it,
Because you're using so much hardwood.
No, because it's live. The sharpening when it breaks has to be done right at that moment. The touch-up sharpening is done, when you're off time or before you start for the day, or when you're finishing and knocking off or something. They only see emergency sharpening. They don't see routine sharpening.
Kill all Marth Mains says, if I was just looking at this color black, what could I tell about how you carved it?
He's asking me a question, or he's asking himself a question?
What did you learn?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Yeah. So you can tell when they need touch-up sharpening just by the way they cut. You can see a little bit more resistance. Is that?
Yeah, this is so hands-on. I'm so close to this blade, seeing it and feeling it. This one I'm using right now is a little bit dull, but it's the one I'm going to sharpen right now. Because if I sharpen it right now, it comes back smooth and keen and ready to break. And what I'm doing right now is just clearing work. Even if this blade had a broken tip right now, I could still keep going. So I don't want a perfectly delicate sharpening tool right now for this. This is a bit messy work. You need that sharpened tool when you're cutting the lines. Every line I'm cutting with this chisel now is going to be thrown away. See what I mean? The part I'm cutting right now, it's in the wood that's going to be thrown away. So it doesn't matter at all. So this thing right now is a little bit dull, actually. In fact, I think the tip is gone, actually. The very fine tip is gone. Yeah, you can feel it. It's not there. But right now, at this part of the job, it's screw. I do not want a super sharp blade right now. It'll just break immediately.
Yeah.
So it's just all day during the day, you sharpen up and down depending on what's going on at the moment. So whether that's embarrassing, right now Dave is carving a block with a tiny bit of a chip blade that's not super sharp. Whatever, that's the job that's on the block right now. It doesn't matter.
So Dave has talked about learning from other carvers' blocks, how they made it, and by looking at it. So what kinds of things could they learn if they looked at your blocks?
I guess what I was looking at with that kind of a conversation is I was trying to figure out the angles mostly. What angle was the guy holding his knife at and things like that, and how deep have we carved between areas, and when you've got an area that's left here, how far down do you go before, this is land and sea. How far the edge of the land goes down, and then what's the shape of the continental shelf, and how deep are the oceans. This kind of thing. There's all kinds of things you can learn. from an old block looking at that.
Geology lesson too. A geology lesson too.
Yeah, I guess so. So geography, whatever.
Yeah.
Geology. And there's more. We've got an intricate bunch of lines that mix and cross each other. Which one was cut first? Which one was cut second? Does the knife cross through? I don't know if I can show an example on this block. I know. We had an area where there's two lines that are crossed.
On very old blocks, you can see the consonants have drifted.
I don't think so. Now, when I first tried to do this, if I had this two lines crossing, I would have, stupid Dave would have done like this. He would have come in and cut like this, then he turns the block, and he cuts out like this. You do this 4 times, and you've got your shape. But unfortunately, when you do it that way, these lines don't have flow.
Right.
Because you've cut 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces and stuck them together.
Yeah.
So what I know now, of course, is when you're cutting this, you have to come down here, cut, lift your knife slightly, but keep going. Now plunge your knife back in and cut, and do that around this thing. And then the lines you've cut have flow. But when you're inspecting the finished block, you can see on that leftover wood, there's a little scratch there where the knife went through that point. Now, if you keep it lightly, it doesn't show when you're printing. If you do it too much, pop, you're going to lose a chip. Like this piece right here, for example, may end up disappearing. And then you don't have a crisscross. That's a disaster.
Got it.
But looking at all those things on the old blocks, how did they do that? How far did they go down? Where did they crisscross? There's lots and lots and lots of stuff to learn from an old block.
That is cool. Woodblock forensics.
I didn't have breakfast yet. Also, Suka-san, I took her paper out of the freezer. I'll forget if I don't mention it to you. I took her paper out according to the dot instructions.
Right.
But she sent me an email just before the stream started. She won't be coming in, so please put it back.
Okay.
So before you start your work, if you can run upstairs and put it back.
That's good. Do you and Dave ever watch other streams on Twitch, or mostly just broadcast?
Myself, I'm sorry, I have no time to be a consumer on Twitch. I'm sorry. That's not said sarcastically. Just I don't have time. My day is filled with production.
Yeah. I've never watched any other streams either.
Are they growing? I mean, non-gaming streams on Twitch, are they growing bit by bit? Are there more people doing stuff like this? When I first started a year and a half ago, I remember poking around, and there was a couple of Australian guys doing some woodwork or something.
That was a heavy box.
Yes, this is not free market stuff. This is we got that box on auction yesterday. The Takamizawa series of famous hokusai. It's a set of 49 that Takamizawa published in the 60s.
Right.
A set of 49 famous hokusai prints, and I've had a set for years. That's my set. It's just I asked Oma yesterday to send it over.
That's
right. The reason is we got another copy of the set yesterday. They come in all the time, but we got most of those prints in the shop already. But the copy of the set that came in yesterday looked like a really, really super prime, early fine set.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say this on the stream, but I think I might like to keep this for myself. So let's have a look. So I asked Omi to send my set over.
Compare.
We'll have a look at them. So my secret is out. David keeps good prints for himself. Whatever, of course I do. Common sense.
People are streaming 3D printing. They just aim the camera at the machine as it puts things together.
That's
interesting.
But are there many other people like this doing woodwork and handy and crafty and stuff? I mean,
makers and crafting streams are growing. I think it's a great community, very supportive of each other, according to Sasquatch Shop.
So good. I would guess it would grow bit by bit. So you say supportive of each other. I'm not quite sure. What should I be doing something to help other people doing this, or I don't really know. We're just totally selfish. Sit here and do our own work. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't feel like I'm part of a community in that sense. There's the community here who types into this chat stream, but I don't have any knowledge of. I don't know. I guess I would have to be more of a consumer then to go and look at those things. But I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Cosplay builders stream, so as they make their cosplay, it's another interesting. A guy who streamed glass blowing, and it was interesting to see how much his skills improved over the years. Glass blowing is a very interesting craft.
So it's a thing then. Good, I hope so. Of course, wonderful. Anybody trying to do stuff. And the YouTube thing is important, but then having streams, for us it's a totally different experience, obviously.
Sasquatch Shop streams wood turning bowls and other wood shopping projects.
Yeah, from Canada.
I'm not sure. Sasquatch could be.
Really, who's doing a stream with things like power tools and stuff? I wonder about the liability issue. Like, don't try this at home, because sometimes, I might be carving this. I know what I'm doing. Sometimes I get criticism. I'm sitting there like this with a carving knife, and people don't. Dave, don't ever pull the knife towards you. The rule about carving is you always carve with the knife pointed away from you.
Yeah.
And well, actually, I sort of know what I'm doing, and this tradition has a way of doing things.
Yeah.
But do I have liability here? I'm showing this as a here's how to do it. Here's how to do it. Some kid sits down, tries to do it, pulls the knife forward, cuts his finger off. Do I have liability here? Because I didn't make a statement, do not try this at home, experts using tools, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. You see this on YouTube videos sometimes, where the guy says, I know Ishitani Workshop does that. He makes a disclaimer at first that he's removed the guides from his saws. And that's not intended to be something that you should do yourself. He's got a level of skill that allows that by his own judgment.
Yeah.
I don't think that should be an issue for us with this stream. We're not using power tools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Sasquatch Shop is in California.
Oh, so good. They have Sasquatches down there too. I was thinking that was a BC thing. So sorry.
I think Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Washington, Oregon. Some streamers host and raid other streams when their streams are over as a show of support, so they send their viewers over to other
I see.
people's.
That's what you mean. Okay, so I haven't been part of that culture. I'm sorry. No.
Koizumi-san's here, and it is 9:30 exactly.
So God, 9:30 already. Wow. There was no goal to try and finish this block in one stream, but anyway, you can see how it's gone. The process of pasting down the tracing.
Yeah.
And we're almost finished. You can see how it would go. So.
Oh, he says, I think he met you back in December and had a talk about Twitch and crafting in Sasquatch Shop.
Well, I don't know the name. I'm sorry. I'm not
Without the personal name.
There was a young man here who was, we're talking about streaming. He was doing his streaming. Is that the same? Hello.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to get to your work, and I better get ready. The shop here.
Are you running parties this morning?
I don't have any idea. I'm sorry. I don't have any ideas. Anyway, we can see how it works. And this block is not quite finished. It will be in a few more minutes of work. You can see the idea. We pasted it down. We did stage 1, cutting the lines of the everything. Stage 2 was wider clearing of the waste areas. And stage 3 is the final cleanup between those 2 zones along the edge. And that'll give us a finished block, registration marks, ready for Sugasan next week to print. And I've got 2 more left, and I've been a really good boy. I did the difficult ones first.
All right. So it's getting easier and easier as you progress.
I've stuck to that rule over the years. I do the ones that have more detail early on in the process so that it gets simpler and simpler. It leaves me without too much deadline pressure. And part of that is that I need this information. This one was carved, and I will be printing this onto another block because we need to know where those shapes are. So that's part of the reason why this one came first. But in general, my policy is start with the time-consuming stuff, and your work just gets more and more pleasant as you go forward. You know, so cool. Okay.
Can we see the Hokusai prints tomorrow? Someone says.
Well, there's nothing really to show. It's just a bunch of prints from our flea market. Oh, that reminds me too. I know Kira-san, she did a bunch of flea market prints yesterday. Check your mailbox, sir. I know I've been turning them off. I've been turning them off.
Yes.
So she's going to work out well.
Yeah.
You know? So just so the stream knows what we're talking about, we've got a girl who works 2 days a week, and each of the days she's here, she puts up another 10, 15 prints in the flea market. And the problem is
then she has to refill it the next time she comes back.
Before they get back. But it's great. No, I mean, seriously, it's good access for people.
It's been wonderful. Yeah.
It's been great.
Okay.
Sign us off, Cameron. So, thank you very much, guys. Excuse me, the schedule. Today's Friday, right?
Yep.
So I've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 3 days left before I go to Canada. For those of you who don't know, starting next Tuesday, I'll be off for 10 days. No streams for,
about
12 days. 2 weeks, about 2 weeks. So there's 3 more streams left, one of which, and maybe 2 of which, will be sizing streams upstairs, cooking soup. It may be tomorrow, it may be Sunday.
Okay.
We have a new hot carpet up there.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I'm son prepared a hot carpet on the whole bench now. So
nice.
Good. Sign us off, sir. I gotta get to work. Thank you.
See you later.